Well, have you ever had some doubts in your life spiritually, believing things that God says to be true? Well, if so, the Apostle Thomas can relate. Today in our passage, we are in John 20:24 through 31, where the Apostle Thomas doubts when the other apostles tell him that they have seen the risen Lord. Now, in a lot of ways, I think we give Thomas a bad rap. I mean, he earned the nickname Doubting Thomas from this passage. And really, we don't hear a lot about him in the Gospels. The Synoptic Gospels don't say anything about him other than he's in the Apostles list. But in John, we have a few other stories that include Thomas. The one being in John 11, when Jesus says Lazarus has died and we're going to head back toward Jerusalem. And all the disciples say, hey, listen, we shouldn't go that way because, Jesus, they were just trying to stone you. And it's actually Thomas who speaks up and he says, let us also go with him that we may die with him. So here in John 11, Thomas was willing to die for the Lord. So imagine his discouragement when Jesus has been arrested, crucified, and just brutally murdered. So what sort of mental state was he in when these other disciples are saying, hey, listen, we've seen the Lord? And he says, I refuse to believe it unless I see the holes and feel the holes, see where all these scars that they put into his body. But what I love about this story is that Jesus meets him right in his doubts. He shows up in the room while the doors are locked. He comes directly to Thomas and he says the following: put your finger here, see my hands, and put out your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe. And it's there in that moment Thomas answers, my Lord and my God. Jesus met him right in his doubts. He wanted to see those scars and he wanted to feel the holes in Jesus' hand. And Jesus doesn't rebuke him for that, but he actually presents that evidence of his resurrection. But I love this command that Jesus gives him: do not disbelieve, but believe. And I think that's a command that we're all receiving right now in the midst of the doubts that we have, the things that aren't going the ways we had hoped, some of the things that maybe are hard for us to believe. And Jesus gives us that command: do not disbelieve, but believe. Then we kind of end here with a promise that Jesus says, okay, you've seen these things and you believe, but there's going to be coming a generation after you who will believe without seeing. And let's be honest, that's us. And it reminds me of a passage in 1 Peter where Peter says to those of us who have never seen Jesus, though you do not see him, you love him. Though you do not now see him, you believe in him and rejoice with joy that is inexpressible and filled with glory, obtaining the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your souls. So it's a beautiful step of faith to believe when we haven't seen. Yet Thomas understands our doubts. Jesus understands our doubts. I'm thankful that Jesus was willing to meet Thomas right where he was. Well, let us know in the comments if you've got some things that you're doubting, things that you're struggling with. So thank you so much for tuning into our John series. This is Jason, and I'll catch you in the next one.